Good afternoon, everybody. This KB5 MIQ big boy. Thought we'd talk a little bit, go over a few things and about some antennas, some questions I've got this week, and make a little short announcement about something else that's fixing to come up. Hey, Ham Radio Cat. Old Ham Radio Cat's up here. You want to say hi there, Cat? He's an aggravating cat, but he likes to hang out with me in here. Okay, we'll give you some say some answers I give some people on some antennas this week. Talk about a couple things. Now, when I give somebody an answer, I'm not trying to be an expert, or I'm not trying to tell you exactly you should do exactly the way I say do it. I'm just telling you how I do it, or making suggestions for you to find the information to help you make your own decision. Because ultimately, you're in charge of your own shack. There's so many people in this hobby, so many experts that will tell you if you're not doing it my way, you're wrong. I don't do that. I'll be glad to help anybody I can in any way I can with this stuff. But my antenna experience has pretty much been homemade single band dipoles, Hustler verticals, some VHF, UHF verticals, and 10 meter Yaggies, and one tri-bander years ago that I had problems with. Excuse me, my nose itching. And a 6 meter Yagi I've had up over the years. I still run everything with push up poles. 50 foot's my height limit. And that's just how I do things. Works for me. And one of the aspects of this hobby is you can choose to spend as much money as you want to on any part of your system that you want to. Okay. First question. I had a guy send me a question that he knew a new ham that was trying to get set up, but he was a long-time shortwave listener. And he had two random lengths of wire, one stretched east and west, one stretched north and south, and was wanting to figure out a way to feed them, and I guess with a single feed line, and use a tuner with it. This is what I suggested to him, and in fact, I even got WD5HKV involved in it with me, and we both kind of come to the same agreement. We don't think that would work. For one thing, it's just not a practical application of that. What we suggested to him, since he had the wire, use that resource and make either some multi-band fan dipoles or put up one of the big long wire loop antennas, as I think they feed it with ladder line. That'll cover all HF. And that would still work for his receiver. On making antennas, look up plans online or get you an antenna book or ARRL handbook. There's a lot of plans for antennas in ARRL handbook. So use that as a guide to plan your homemade antenna out. Now, the idea of using a tuner, nothing wrong with that. But a tuner, and I may have said this in a previous video, a tuner will not make a bad antenna good. All a tuner does is lie to your radio that it's seeing a good antenna. That's it. In fact, I'm going to say you could put the wrong kind of thing up there and it would probably damage your tuner trying to tune it. So that's all a tuner does is make the radio see a good antenna. It doesn't make it a good antenna. Tuners are really designed, like if you have an antenna that's resonant on a certain frequency, but you want to get more bandwidth out of it, and your SWR is going up the further you get away from your resonant frequency. That's what a tuner, to me, is really designed for, is to give you more bandwidth on an antenna that's already good. Does that make sense? I got a tuner. I use it. We didn't have one for years. I just operated within the limits of my antennas. Okay. Second question I had was a guy who had asked me about an 11 meter vertical homemade type antenna. I can't remember the name of it. I'd have to look it up on my email, but it's not important. About whether it would work for 10 meters, if you could use it for both. And I told him, yeah, it can work for 10. You just have to tune it for 10. Go ahead and set it up and find your resonant frequency. Now, not I'm starting out as a CBer. I have no problem with CBer. Matter of fact, I got a CB in my shack. I got a CB base station antenna up. Doing it more out of nostalgia and remembering a friend of mine who died because I bought the antenna off his estate, but I don't transmit on it. I'll listen to it every now and then. Not knocking CBers at all. It's just two different operating practices. That's it in my book. Now, but remember this, when you're trying to set up an antenna for HF, whether you're going to operate in CB band 11 meters or you're going to operate on the HF frequency, say 10 meters. It doesn't matter because you'll see people ask about questions about, well, I'm by a ground mounted vertical or a Yagi put in the air. Here's where the antenna polarization makes a difference. If you're talking ground wave, like Jeff Cody and I do every night or 4 nights a week, we all have to be the same polarized antenna for ground wave communication. Because remember this, there's 30 dB of loss just from going from vertical to horizontal polarization. If I was talking on a vertical antenna, even if I had it 50 foot in the air, to Jeff and Cody on horizontal, they probably couldn't even hear me, or if the signal would be slow, it would be impractical to do. So as a rule, most, and this is not ironclad, or this is not saying this the way it has to be, because a lot of people use ground mounted verticals, and that's great. But your radio signal, once it skips, the polarization doesn't matter because you'll still be able to hear it. The polarization makes a difference on line of sight ground wave communications. That's the biggest reason you see 2 meter FM stuff is always vertical polarization. Whether it's a Yagi turned vertical or just a vertical omnidirectional antenna. If you see a 2 meter turned horizontal, they're trying to work single sideband long distance. All your repeaters are going to be vertical polarization. Same way with CB radio, 11 meters. 99% of every CBer I've ever seen runs a vertical antenna, whether it was a vertical base antenna or, of course, all your mobiles are going to be vertical. And the big reason for that is 2 reasons, or I guess the main reason, base to mobile communication, so you can get longer range out of it and be able to hear each other. Now, there's not many of them left anymore. If you ever run up on any kind of an 11 meter Yagi, especially a 3-element 11 meter Yagi, and you can get it for little or nothing, get it. Because all it's got to be is just retuned for 10 meters. And it's real easy to do. In fact, my first 10 meter Yagi was a 3-element CB Yagi that Jeff gave me. They made excellent antennas. But that's the difference in polarization. Most of your ham radio polarization, HF, for line of sight, most of those guys are going to operate like we do, horizontal. Even though Jeff and Cody are both running dipoles, and I'm running a Yagi, I'm louder on them than they are me, but I can still hear them because we're all same polarization and we're within close enough distance. Now, once it skips, that don't matter anymore. I'm sure an expert will get on me for my explanation of that, but that's just the way I look at it. So send me any kind of question about an antenna. I'll do my best to answer it. Some of my other videos, I've actually filmed my antenna farm. You can go back and see what I'm running. The main thing is this, in my opinion, you need to build you an antenna that's resonant on a certain frequency that you're going to operate on if it's a single band dipole, than trying to depend on a tuner just to correct it. Just use a tuner to broaden the bandwidth of it if you need to. I hope that makes sense. Had to enter a good morning this morning. I had 2 people come by, Jeff, WD5HKV, and the friend of ours that's got the Hammerlin receiver, Tim. He come up here. He's wanting to get his license. We're showing him a few things, and he's fixing to start studying for his tech ticket. We programmed up a UV5R for Jeff's brother-in-law. He's kept trying to get him back on the air a little bit. He's a general class ham. And so we got that set up for him. Now, this weekend, Saturday, during the daylight, probably from say 0900 to 5 o'clock, about dark. It's gonna be dark early, time change. We are going to be operating WD5 HKV, W5 DLX, and myself, KB5 MIQ, are going to be operating a mini field day event. We was going to do ARRL field day this year, and I had a death in the family, so we just put it off. So we're going to do a practice field day on Saturday, and kind of plan on doing winter field day this year. May even camp out overnight. I know Cody will if he can get us two old guys to do it. I don't know, but anyway, this Saturday, the 13th, I believe is the date of it. We're going to be on HF 10, 15, 20, 12, whatever band's open, 17 meters. I know Cody's bringing his Wolf River coil, and Jeff's setting up a 10-meter dipole. One, two of us will be on there all the time. Plus, we're going to have a 2-meter set up with on the Aggie in case we got any local stuff. I'm doing the cooking, so I may not be on the air till after lunch, where I'm making us some chili to have out there. But two of us will be on the air Saturday on the low bands, 10, 15, 20, 40. So if you hear any of these three call signs, W5DLX, WD5HKV, or KB5MIQ, check in with us. We'll even try to send you a card if you want one. We're going to keep a log of it, and hope you have a good day out there Saturday. Jeff and Cody both going to be running 891s. They both got those, I can't pronounce it, Bino batteries that we're going to be operating from. Want to test that out. We're going to take a talkies and hook up to our 3-element homemade Yagi like we used up there at Queen Wilhelmina. So if you hear us, please check in with us. We're looking forward to making some contact Saturday. I appreciate everybody who subscribed to the channel. I've hit 463 subscribers in a little over a year. I never thought that it would take off that good, and I really enjoy doing these, and I really appreciate Jeff and Cody's input with them. So we're going to keep trying to put these out as long as y'all like listening to me talk. I got a little different style of videos, a little different than everybody else. I'm not quite as flashy as some of the other channels are, but just try to put out good information. And try to put out good information that'll help you find the information you need to make your own decision on how to run your shack. And that's ultimately, you're the one that needs to make the decision on how to run your shack. All right, remember Main Trading Company in Paris, Texas. Great place for ham radio gear. I understand he's thinking about selling out. I hope he stays in business or somebody keeps operating, because it's a real good place to buy your gear from. Your club pages: Four States Amateur Radio, Shreveport Amateur Radio, Dallas Amateur Radio, Cowtown Amateur Radio, all good Facebook pages for information. Other ham radio Facebook pages: Ham Radio Flea Market Trading Post, Ham Radio, Amateur Radio Elmer's, Ham Radio 2.0, Texas Amateur Ham Radio. Good avenues for information. Remember, Saturday plus Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursday, Friday nights, we're usually on 28-450, 7:30 Central Standard Time for 45 minutes to an hour, depending on if anybody's checking in with us. Feel free to check in with us anytime. Appreciate everybody who subscribed to the channel. Hope everybody has a great weekend. It's KB5 MIQ Big Boy 73.